Well, welcome to the Rattlesnake Museum. None of you have ever been here before. This is a picture of me in the hallway. This is a live picture, of course. Let me take you back. We're going to take you to the front of the museum. First, I'll introduce a couple of guests on hand here. Elliot and Oliver are both here, trying to figure out what the heck's going on. So we've been closed down most of the time from March 15th to September 15th. We were closed up tight. Then we reopened for a little while, a little over a month. And then as the numbers went back up again, we closed down again. So we've been closed since I think it was October 25th. Lorraine and I have stayed very busy here with the boys. The dogs are with us just about every day down here. We're essential workers. We got to take care of the animals. So we've been here a lot. And when we're not working with animals, we've been making changes, upgrades to the museum. Lorraine has done an incredible amount of painting. I'm going to back away from the Eastern Diamondback in the first enclosure. Lorraine has been painting the trim on all of these enclosures to our new turquoise color, which is a little more green than it used to be. I can't get this very well on this camera. There we go. So we've gone with a new color theme throughout the museum. Most changes have gone to that turquoise or a gray, or what is called medieval wine. I have to look at Lorraine to tell me the color. It's a deep purple color. So we have stayed busy. We've been here most every day. We get visitors once in a while, people banging on the door asking if they can buy a t-shirt, and so we bring something out to them. We've gotten a few orders online, but for the most part, we're here alone. The last 2 days are an exception. We've had people coming in for one reason or another. We gave a little private tour to a grandma and granddaughter. She just did a little brochure for her Girl Scout troop all about rattlesnakes. So we were involved in that. She brought the finished product in and we took a tour of the museum, had a good time. Funny part of the story was I've known Grandma for quite a while. Grandma's probably my age. And I was invited to give a talk to a Girl Scout troop out on the west side many years ago, maybe 25 years ago. And she's kept in touch. And she told me today that she had brought her daughter in to the Rattlesnake Museum when she was six or 8 years old many years ago, and now her daughter is here at the age of 14. So I asked the granddaughter to promise to bring her kids here someday. Hopefully we'll still be here. So let me start walking around. Some of you will recognize things that have been here for a long time. If you really paid attention, you might see some changes. Some of the changes are so minor that only Lorraine or I would notice them. Any of you think you have noticed that the color changed around the edge of the enclosures? I didn't think so. So she's been doing that. Here in the first room, well, the cobra that you used to see up front is now a permanent part of the collection. The artist from Santa Fe agreed to sell it to us at a price that we could afford. The big bronze rattlesnake is back permanently too. He asked to borrow it back. He entered it in an art show that ran for a year, and he won whatever it was, won first place in the art show, with that rattlesnake, and it is back here permanently now too. Let me here's a new piece of equipment here at the Rattlesnake Museum. Those come in handy. There's the green tree python. Doing very well. Still eating. We're keeping the temperature up here. The bills are still coming in. We still have partial rent to pay. We've got many. These are pretty high this time of year. And of course, there is the food bills. I might mention that we've had donations to allow us to buy some additional vision. That's helped out. One other gentleman. I see. Okay, I just switched channels to see if anybody was out there. You're way too quiet. I see you, Lori.
Yeah. Everybody's muted, trying to be respectful.
Oh, don't do that. Okay, so yeah, most of the animals in this first room are the same ones that you remember. They're getting a little more attention and being fed probably more frequently than they need. They've gained weight just like I have, and maybe some of you have. The old timber canebrake rattlesnake, if some of you are old enough to know that name. Lorraine's following me around, but she's trying not to get on. Al here is doing very well.
Like, how many different types of rattlesnakes are in New Mexico specifically?
Well, depending on who you believe, about 9.
Okay.
Would include the western diamondback, the prairie rattlesnake, the Arizona black rattlesnake, the Mojave rattlesnake, the desert Massasauga, the banded rock rattlesnake, the mottled rock rattlesnake, and the blacktail rattlesnake. Did I get them all?
Ridge-nose rattlesnake.
Tiger rattlesnake.
And there's two blacktail rattlesnakes.
What's that?
Ridge-nose.
The ridge-nose rattlesnake. The New Mexico ridge-nose or Animas ridge-nose rattlesnake. Good.
Two different black-tailed rattlesnakes, though.
There are now, aren't there?
Yep.
And we have both of them on exhibit here now, and I'll pass by them. Move back a little bit.
And actually, can I ask another question? The Gila monster, did you say that's 33 years old?
32.
32. What's the sense of how old they can live to, or is?
That's a good question. I've done some looking into that. I can't find many numbers. Somebody else online might have a figure, but the highest number I've found recently is 17. But I'm sure that's been beat many times.
Yeah.
This one was born at the San Diego Zoo in 1988. The Gila monster I'm speaking of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Jerry Tuttle know?
I don't know. He might. I should probably slow down a little bit. If there are people on here that have not been to the museum, I should slow down and point out a few things that are on exhibit, have been added to recently. And this is our Steve Irwin Memorial. And old Steve, believe it or not, has been gone since 2006. The young gal that was in today doing her Girl Scout report was born in 2006, and she has no memory of Steve Irwin. I used to talk to kids groups about Steve, and we talked about whether or not he was good for the world of reptiles or maybe not so. We talked about how he handled himself on TV, but either way, he was a big hit for most of us, and in some cases, any notoriety for the reptiles is good. I think he held snakes up to our faces through the TV screen so often that people that were phobic probably got over it. Just yep. So yeah. Anyway, I've got a director behind me here, and I appreciate that. This shirt is Terry Irwin's shirt from their early years together. I don't know if you remember, but before it was Australia Zoo, it was the Queensland Reptile Park, started by Steve's dad, Bob Irwin. And this was an early shirt of hers. I'm trying to get shirts from the other family members through a contact I have with Terry's family up in Oregon. So some of the other things here are magazine articles that came out before and after Steve's death. I love this Mad magazine. This is an Australian Mad magazine with Steve on the cover, hooting and hollering about a scratch on his finger while his buddy's getting eaten by a crocodile. And I should mention too, a lot of these items have been donated since we started the collection. Visitors to the museum will mention that they have, say, Steve Irwin thermos and lunchbox, and it's just sitting around and we want it. And we say, heck yeah. And so these things come in the mail and we add it to the collection. Unfortunately, this showcase is packed, and a lot of new things go into storage, or we'll make a switch, put something else on exhibit for a while. So the people that do come in here on a regular basis and do pay attention to it will see new things. One of the prizes in this collection is this collectible card. They did a series of Crocodile Hunter cards, and this one is signed by Steve and is quite collectible, and one of Terry. From what I understand, Steve's daughter Bindi is pregnant now.
Oh.
And I don't know, I would imagine most of the people that are hearing me right now remember when she was born on TV. There's Steve and Bindi. Wildlife warriors. There was a famous incident. Oh, things have been moved around. I don't see it now. Steve was holding his son, little Bob, when he was a baby. Steve was feeding a crocodile with one hand and holding the baby with the other. Big picture around somewhere here, but he got a lot of grief for that. And now little Bob is not so little anymore. I think he's 16 or 17, and he's doing wildlife shows like Steve did. Here's a bit of trivia for you. Little Bob Irwin and Big Bob Myers have the same birth date. He and I need to have a birthday party one of these days. So with our free time, we've done a little cage redecorating. This is the bull snake. This is a different bull snake than you would have seen last time. We usually put injured snakes that are recovering on exhibit until they get too big, and we either release them or get them to somebody else. I found these bricks It's the middle of the desert. I brought them back here and glued them together. And I don't know, you don't hear much about enrichment for reptiles, but this little snake seems to enjoy crawling in and out of the holes in the bricks. I don't know if you can see, there is a passage through. You can see one end there, and here's the other end. So often his head is out one end, and he flicks his tongue as we walk by. Turn this sideways. There we go. He's doing very well. He had his tail run over, but it's healing up nicely. Well, let's see here. We had a leaky roof a little while back. I'll tell you more about that later. But in this second room, we did have quite a bit of water on the floor. Had to move this collection of horny toad or horned lizard sculptures out. I think it's all dried now. For those of you that have not been here, we have a little sculpture in nice detail done by a local artist of each of the 14 species of horned lizard. Now, I heard somebody was from Pennsylvania. Where in Pennsylvania?
Lancaster, so it's kind of the middle south portion of Pennsylvania, pretty close to the capital of Harrisburg.
Okay. Just north of Harrisburg, there's a reptile exhibit. Trying to think of the name. Reptiland. Have you been there?
I have not, and I'm a little bit ashamed to say I haven't even heard of it.
Okay. It's in a little town, like 45 minutes to an hour north of Harrisburg. The town is
Allenwood?
Allenwood, not Allentown, but Allenwood, right?
Okay, I just found it on Google. So that sounds like I need to make a trip. Although maybe not with the pandemic, but as soon as as soon as things have calmed down a little bit.
Right. They may be closed. I haven't talked to him in a little while. Lorraine,
They're running shortened COVID hours, but they are operational.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
If you're talking about Clyde Peeling, I'm pretty sure he passed away this past year.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. His son's running it now.
Now, one of the sons was sick. You sure it wasn't
Yeah.
a son that passed?
His son died of cancer sometime in the last year, I think, Brandon.
Oh, okay. I thought it was him that passed away. Okay.
No. It was Clyde Jr., I think.
Yeah, it was confusing because it was like
Yeah.
Clyde Peeling Jr. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Clyde Jr., so senior's still alive.
Well, thank you for giving me a heart attack. I would have felt bad.
But I do best.
He and I used to stay in touch a little bit better. For those of you that have not been here or have not looked around, we do have a collection of old snake oil bottles. And it's interesting because we get all kinds of people into the museum, and most of them are not necessarily reptile people, not reptile keepers, not reptile hunters, not reptile researchers. They just have a fascination, like a lot of people do, for seeing reptiles. So they'll come in here and find out that we've got things to see other than the live animals. And once in a while, I'll have somebody come up, an avid bottle collector, and they'll say they really enjoyed that part of the exhibit. Or somebody else will come up and will have seen Steve Irwin's memorial, and they miss old Steve, and it was good to see something done to remember him. For those of you into snake oil, here's the most famous snake oil salesman of all time, Clark Stanley, wearing a rattlesnake suit. like rattlesnakes, but not for the same reason we do. Some of the books here, books about venomous animals, something about poisons, and I like looking for books titled Poisonous Snakes. We try to explain to kids here the difference between poisons and venoms, and then I show them that even the authors will use different terminology to describe their book. And we talk about the venomous animal or the venomous apple. Well, it's not a venomous apple, it's a poison apple that Snow White ate. Kids do know Snow White. And for those of you that I've never told, here's my favorite item at the Rattlesnake Museum. It's what a lot of people describe as a humidor now for tobacco, but originally they were used to keep opium in Oriental countries. And the reason that this is so special to me now is that my dad purchased this when he was 5 years old in Los Angeles. He saw it in an antique store and was just taken back by it and made a deal with the store owner that he would pay it off over time. At the time he was getting a nickel a week allowance. So it took a while to purchase this $5 piece of art. And I grew up with this in his office. When the Rattlesnake Museum opened 30 years ago, he said, "You need to put this in the museum." So since it's been here, I've collected another dozen of these, all in storage. Here's a book with one on the cover. That one on the cover of that book is done out of ivory. The snake is ivory. The skull is wood. In this case, both are wood, just two different kinds of wood.
Are the ones in storage, are they all a similar design of like a snake and a skull?
They are, but they're done by different artists. They're very obviously different from one to the next. They're different sizes. Some are wider skulls than others.
And is there a special significance for that design pertaining to like opium and whatnot?
Yeah, well, that image of a skull and a snake has often referred to something that was toxic in some way.
Yeah.
Some of the poison bottles that we have here have a skull and crossbone or a snake, wrapping a staff like Asclepius or.
Yeah.
But snakes and skulls usually indicate something that's
Cool.
shouldn't be eaten or smoked or ingested in any way.
Do you know its origin?
I don't. As far back as I can trace it, is an antique store in LA. But from what I've read, they're all from Eastern countries, probably China or Japan. There are some habusakis that come from other countries. I think one of you brought one of these to me from Laos. We'll get to that. Even through the pandemic, we're getting new things in the mail all the time. This is a ceramic bottle from Russia. Just came in yesterday or the day before. And it's harder for me to kneel down like that anymore. And some old American snake oil bottles.
So this is another ignorant question, but snake oil, did that have anything to do with snakes?
If you're talking about the Oriental version of snake oils, it did. They actually used oil from the tissues of snakes
Okay.
in the case, and claimed it to cure or eliminate one thing or another. In the United States, snake oils were made with mostly alcohol, and you did feel better after taking them, but you know, a couple hours later, you felt just as bad.
Yeah.
Thus, being called a snake oil salesman is not a nice thing. All right. Let's see here. We have a black widow spider on exhibit. Let me see if I can find her. Our black widow spider previously died just a month ago or so, and because the temperatures had dropped, I was assuming I wouldn't have another black widow spider on exhibit until the spring, and I found one in the doorway of the Rattlesnake Museum. Those of you that live here, you know they're everywhere. I get a kick out of this exhibit because people spend so much time staring at the black widow spider. I don't even see it right now. They'll stand here for 5-10 minutes, more time with this animal than any other. And they go, where did you find that? I say, out on the patio. Take them outside and show them one. Now, I am not seeing her. She's a young one. She's about half grown. She's in there somewhere. Another side story, I came to the museum one morning and found a container sitting by the front door with a little note that said, I thought you might be able to use this. And with such packages, I opened slowly. And it was a brown recluse spider, which we don't have in the Albuquerque area. They do touch into the state of New Mexico on the eastern border. And I do have a map. I have people in all the time that claim to have been bitten by brown recluse spiders in the past. And unfortunately, that spider gets blamed for a lot of things. And I'll ask people where they're from, and they're well outside the range of the brown recluse. So I suggest that it might be the bite of something else. I had a lady in here one day that was doing some research on the brown recluse, and I said, what's biting these people that they haven't seen the spider, but they always claim it's a brown recluse that bit them? And she said bed bugs are one item that bite people that they're not seen either necessarily, but the spider gets the blame. And she mentioned one other bug. Can't remember if it was an arachnid or an insect, but not the brown recluse. I see my little map of the brown recluse spider range has tipped over here, but you get the idea. People will spend an hour in the museum touring and come up front. We get into conversations all the time. And depending on what direction that conversation takes, I might ask them, how did you like our snaky sewing machine? And they go, what snaky sewing machine? And so I'll bring them back here and point it out. This will maybe be a woman who's into sewing, knitting, whatever it might be. And I show them the machine and they go, what do you mean snaky? And I say, look at it a little bit longer. See if you don't see a snake. And then all of a sudden it appears to them. This is an 1850s sewing machine, a real working sewing machine at the time. And somebody decided a snake should be part of the design. Can you all see the snake?
Yes,
Okay. I've given you enough time, haven't I?
you have.
Is it a black racer?
Yeah. Well, we need to come up with something, don't we?
Yeah.
Something sewing related. Within the museum collection, I collect quilts with traditional names like Snake Trail and Diamondback. And someday we'll have a sewing room at the Rattlesnake Museum. We've even had the local Quilters Club have their meeting at the museum pre-COVID. This was an item that was made by Franklin Mint back in 1989. And fun story behind this, and there's a story behind everything here, is Bill Haast, who ran the Miami Serpentarium, made me aware of this one. So I went hunting for it. It's a beautifully done item, very delicate. It's porcelain. Back up a little bit here. We've got quite a
Groovy stuff.
groovy stuff.
That's right. I'm online here. How exciting.
Is this John Denver?
Yeah. This I've never Zoomed before. I'm a Zoom virgin.
Ah, well, welcome. Welcome to the Rattlesnake Museum.
Thank you, sir.
This is a Kachina doll. Some of you have probably seen this along the way. It's usually called a squash Kachina, sometimes a watermelon Kachina, obviously. But it also has another common name, and that is the rattlesnake Kachina. The reason is that traditionally the head of the Kachina is a dry gourd, and if you shake the Kachina, you hear the dry seeds bouncing around inside, sounding a little bit like a rattlesnake. I think they look very alien. And you know who that is? Oop. If you stay up late, or you used to stay up late at night, this is Craig Ferguson that did the Late Late Show. And one day we had, see if I can remember her name. She did the TV show locally, In Plain Sight. Can't recall her name, but an actor on the TV show.
Mary McCormack.
Mary McCormack, thank you. She had heard Craig Ferguson. Craig Ferguson used to come into the Rattlesnake Museum whenever he was in town, and he just loved it, thank goodness. And he'd mention it on his show on a regular basis, and she would hear that. So she came in here in preparation to be a guest on his show, and she bought him this rattlesnake mug. And when he was gifted that mug on air, he took his old mug and smashed it on the ground. And from then on, he had the rattlesnake mug sitting on his desk for years. And because it was such an important prop on his desk, we estimate that we sold an extra 5,000 of those mugs in 5 years.
Huh.
Somebody, one of his stagehands, accidentally broke the tooth off, so he glued it back on and painted it gold. And when he ended the show, I called him up and I said, Craig, now that you're ending the show, I want you to know we get a lot of your fans in the Rattlesnake Museum because you mention it so often. How about if you send the mug back and we'll put it on exhibit? And he thought that was a good idea, so he sent the mug. He sent these signed pictures. Not everything is in here. There's a picture of him by the front door. Hard to see, too much reflection in here. And some t-shirts and hats, just a whole big box of things. He was very generous about that. But People still come in here and they go, wow, you have Craig Ferguson's mug? There it is. The other day, we got a phone call from a gal who is doing a book about baseball along Route 66. And the way it works, they get professional baseball players that grew up in towns along Route 66, had them write down their story about the town they grew up in, and then they go to the town and they take a picture to put in the book. And this baseball player, and I'll be darned if I can remember his name right now, grew up in Albuquerque, and he says, my fondest memory of Albuquerque was the Rattlesnake Museum. Can you do our picture for my story at the museum? So she brought 3. What's that? Yes, thank you. She brought 3 little leaguers in here, all dressed in their baseball uniforms, and took quite a few pictures. This was during COVID, so their parents had to stay outside, and the rest of us all wore masks, but the little guys were maskless. Don't tell the governor. I brought a few things from home. These are recent acquisitions, baseball uniforms, teams with reptile names. Rattlers, in the case of quite a few of these. Copperhead, the Timber Rattlers, they're up in, I think, Wisconsin. Here's these you haven't seen because I've never had any of the jerseys on exhibit. This is a track team shirt from Anaconda, Montana. It's got the town name on it, but the team name is Copperheads. The Anaconda Copperheads. Yeah. And here's a cheerleading outfit. One of the Rattlers teams. There are quite a few Rattler teams around the country. I started collecting these a long time ago. Of course, the Diamondbacks is the most obvious one around here, but there are so many teams over the years that have been had a reptile mascot. Trying to think of some other examples. Indoor arena football team in Tucson, I think it is. The Sidewinders were in Tucson. And then I started looking for college teams. Florida A&M are the Rattlers. St. Mary's in Texas are the Rattlers. Of course, the Terrapins of Maryland. I usually look for spider and scorpion things along the way. There's only one college team with a spider mascot. Anybody know which one that is? That's a no. That's Richmond, Virginia. So we probably have 100 jerseys in the museum collection, but no room to show them here. I think they're Florida, I think is a junior college in Florida, has a moccasin, as in water moccasin mascot.
Bob, do you have anything from Jamie Lee Curtis?
From Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yeah. Anything she signed or gave you?
No, you must know that she was here.
Yes, and she bought all your shirts.
She bought a ton of stuff, and she was a little crazy. Don't tell her I said so.
Of course not.
But yeah, I didn't pin her down for an autograph or a picture.
Okay.
Had a lot of fun people in here.
Well, this is the Jamie Lee Curtis, like from the John Carpenter's Halloween and such.
Right.
That's cool.
Carrie Fisher was in here at one time. Christopher Lloyd. He's one of my favorite
Back to
actually,
the
I've run into him twice over the years. And he is so down to earth, you wouldn't imagine it's the same person from the movies. He always
Mhm.
plays a raving lunatic, and he's just as cool as could be. Real nice guy,
Just like Andy Taylor, down to
just
earth.
like Andy Taylor. Mick Jagger was here years ago.
Oh,
He was
Mick
pretty
Jagger
down to earth.
Really?
Uh-huh.
How, is he a weirdo?
No, he was quite the gentleman.
Okay, that's
He-
what I've heard. I have an biography of him. It comes off surprisingly well. So,
Huh?
yeah.
Yeah, he was here with his wife and I think a kid or two and a bodyguard. And the bodyguard stood back, a little guy, but wide. I
Mhm.
wouldn't want to tangle with him. But yeah, Mick Jagger walked up and introduced himself. And I asked him to repeat, well, what was that? But he was a very nice guy.
And he was into the snakes.
He was what?
Was he into the snakes? Like into it?
Yeah, and he owns 2 Rattlesnake Museum T-shirts, and I was always hoping and praying that he'd turn up on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine wearing one of our T-shirts, and we'd be home free.
There you go.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
collection of Kachinas that a lot of you have seen took 25 years to amass. One artist did all of them, and they are every reptile-related Kachina out there.
Wow, that's a lot.
A lot. Let me turn it back up again. There we go. The turtle Kachina.
Okay.
The frog Kachina. The lizard Kachina. And then moving to arachnids here. This is the spider woman Kachina. This is the bumblebee Kachina.
That is really cool.
They're cool. And this guy, he's 80 years old now, and he's carved these on average 1 a year for the last 25 years. The last one that we received from him was the last one that he knew of being reptile related. And I was so concerned that he was going to die before he got that finished because it took him 3 years. And it was the last of the collection. But there are 3 others that belong to his Kachina troupe. If you look, they're all identical except for the coloration. Colors change.
Uh-huh.
Face is yellow, black, blue, and white.
The Pueblos have a much different relationship with snakes than the Navajo do. It's very different.
They do, and the Kachina people typically are Hopi and Zuni. And Hopis and Zunis don't consider any of the other Pueblos or Navajos as being Kachina artists, although they do them. There are a lot of Navajo Kachina artists, but
Sure.
officially they're not considered official Kachina carvers.
Okay.
The gentleman that did all these is supposed to be doing a write-up about them, but he's very mysterious. And he started some things, didn't get very far when he's in here, and he was in here earlier today.
Oh, wow.
Maybe 3 times a year. And I usually try to pin him down and say, what can you tell me about this Kachina? And then I'll write it down behind his back. I want him to do the write-ups, but I'm not sure it's ever going to happen. I'll point this one in and this one out to you because he's pointed them out to me. He says, I can never tell you the name of these Kachinas. They're too sacred, too special to the Hopis. We're not allowed to mention their name. We can't tell you anything about them. Just know that they're rare and special.
Mm-hmm.
So they used, I didn't pay much attention to them in this collection. And now every time I walk by, I look to be sure they're still here. This one reminds me of Robbie the robot from
Yeah,
Albuquerque.
sure. Pretty
Yeah.
cool. Wow.
So you can see a lot of these come in sets. When we do have the kind of space we need, he also wants to display them. And he explained to me that they're supposed to be displayed in a certain fashion, not just thrown together like we've got them here. This one, these four, they're all very similar except for coloration, but they're part of a snake dance ceremony. And in display, they should be facing in from the different compass points, north, south,
Okay.
east, and west.
Right.
And the snake dancers, which technically are not kachinas, they're called personages. The difference being that they've got human faces that are painted where the kachinas have masks.
Okay.
And the Hopis don't consider kachinas to be dolls. They consider them to be the equivalent of gods. Even the
Spirit.
kachina dancers, when they're out doing their dance, they're not people dressed up.
Okay.
The snake dancer here, let's see if I can do this. There we go. The snake dancer holding the snake, and it's his helper who carries some feathers to distract the snake so the snake dancer is not bitten. But between you and me, the smart snake dancers dance with gopher snakes.
Right. Right. And have a vial of antivenom in their pocket.
I'm not so sure about that.
Oh well, hey Bob, I hear you might have a display of art displaying a conquistador and an Aztec, but I don't know if that's true.
Someone must have lied to you.
I know, but I heard a wild rumor, and I just don't know.
Yeah. I'll talk to you later, Pat, you troublemaker.
Okay. Anyway, well, oh, there's your beers.
Okay, big story. Those of you that have been coming here for years and years and years, maybe 20 or more years, we've been hosting the Herpetological Society. This wall you've seen all those years. Well, you thought you've seen this. This is an all new wall. We had water seep into the wall and melt the adobe bricks. There, all kinds of things were growing behind that wall. So in, it was April or May, we had the whole wall taken down. We re-insulated the wall. New board was put up, and Lorraine painted it.
Very nice.
She did a good job. And she also took all the bottles out of the collection, shifted them around so that you'll see some new bottles, but they're cleaned and back in there. This bottle collection has gotten so crazy. I have visitors bringing bottles in. They hear about the collection. They bring them along with them when they come to Albuquerque.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fun. You can't see so easily, but there's a second and third row of bottles behind a lot of these.
Oh yeah.
Storage.
Florida Gators.
I think, Laura, you might recognize that bottle. Are you still there?
Yeah, she's.
I unmute myself. Yeah, good one. Do you know that
There
bourbon
it is.
become really hard to find, Bob?
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, we thought we were doing okay, and I looked for it probably maybe 4 or 5 months ago, just out of curiosity. There used to be a lot of it in distributed Florida, and it's gone.
Oh boy. I can't remember how many bottles I bought at the time that we got those, but I think I've given them all away except for this one.
Yeah.
I gave one to Gordon Schuett recently.
Oh, that means
Gordy.
Bob both have one.
Bob has one, but
Yeah, I gave
Gordon,
it.
that bottle on the left, let me do it this way, is an old version of that bottle.
Yeah.
Wow.
Every one of these bottles seems to have a story. Started a microbrewery in New Zealand, heard about this collection, and sent an empty bottle of each of his beers for exhibit here. And he showed up here 6 months later to see if they were exhibit.
Suatara Ale. I thought I saw it all.
Yeah, a fun thing is that the question comes up a lot with our visitors: what's a Tuatara?
Uh-huh.
So it leads into that explanation.
Pretty interesting stuff. They're freaky creatures. They really are.
They are pretty amazing.
Wow. So anyway, so are we supposed to go into the Chiricahua Desert Museum here shortly, or how does this work?
When you show up late, Pat,
I would get
it's the
there.
announcement that the Chiricahua Desert Museum got canceled due to technical difficulties.
Oh,
So we're
no.
going to Rattlesnake Museum instead. Yeah.
Okay, well that's fine. It's herp friendly, or so I hear.
Yeah.
So
This can of beer came in. I'll tell one more bottle can story. A young couple from Sweden was headed towards Albuquerque in their car and called ahead and wondered how late we were open. And I said 6 o'clock, and they said, we're not going to quite make it. Can you stay open a little bit longer? And I think that was before I met Lorraine, so I had a lot more free time here at the
your lease
museum.
was a lot longer then.
That's right. And so I stayed there for them, and they came in and we got talking. And while we talked, he opened up a sort of a briefcase and unwrapped that, and there was a box inside. And he unwrapped that, and out of the center of this pile of cloth was Rattlesnake beer from Sweden.
That's great. Hey, Letitia. Hello.
Hi, is that Pat Meyer?
That's me.
I figured Patricio had to be you.
That's me. We have to bond over cats here at some time. But
Right.
anyway, yeah, it's good to see you.
Thank you. I don't see your picture.
Oh, let's see if I move down here.
All I see is your name.
Okay, for those of you that have been coming here a long time, this next shot's going to look alien to you. But here is the seating area
Oh my.
in the theater room, the room we call the theater room. And now we've got an island of vision cages and new animals on exhibit in here. A lot of these were at home with me or in a back area here at the museum. But we purchased quite a few new visions from a fella in California that Pat and I know, and Pat was nice enough to load them up in his car on 2 different trips and drive them to New Mexico. And they are up and going. So there's somebody in each one. Let's see where we can get a good shot. This is a hybrid Mojave rattlesnake, prairie rattlesnake.
Is that the one that I adopted, Bob?
Yes. Here's the eastern blacktail rattlesnake we were talking about. Blacktails have been split up. Oh, let's see. Here is a rescued coach whip. He's going to go back out there. He's more calm than a lot of the coach whips, but more calm is not calm enough. He's feeding well. You can see a scar where he has healed. It was a pretty big wound, but it doesn't look so big now. He's doing very well. Another rescue bull snake, gopher snake. Getting a lot of glare. I gotta move around here. Trans-Pecos rat snake. So my job was to build stands for every 3 of these enclosures, and Lorraine painted them. Oh, there's some weights down there that I should be using. They don't get as much use as they should. Put these 2 in. We've got male and female of the local tarantula. Usually see one or the other, but got both on exhibit right now. That one's sitting exactly where Letitia normally sits. And the female, blonde tarantula. We'll back up a little bit from this corner. But I hope by the time we get over this COVID thing and get the Herp Society back here, we'll find a new place for all these enclosures.
Bob, speaking of sitting, do you still have my Latusia there?
Let me answer that with a picture.
Oh, it's still on top of
Yeah, yes, we do.
Thank you.
Start it with our lives. Now, you may not have noticed, but there was a huge piece of particle board behind this case. It was painted sort of a burnt orange color. So we moved the case out, took that big board off the wall. There was a rattlesnake skin over here that people could touch. It's been here for 25 years and looked like it, so we took it off. I cut the ends off that big piece of orange board and did this with them. There's something at the other end, and Lorraine painted the wall that dark gray. It used to be off-white, so it looks a lot cleaner now. Real happy with that, and the snakeskin needed to go. She painted this area back in here. We put up some. These are official caution signs put out by some cities. I think this one is San Diego, if I remember right. We've got a large collection of these, but again, no room to show them. And then a little sneaky thing to scare people. I don't know if you can see. There's a frog mask up here in the dim light looking down at you. And I can barely see it through the camera on this phone. Some animals that were off exhibit, a couple Dumerals boas. This is the male down here. And the female up here. And no, there's no real tie-in to the world of rattlesnakes, but we have a few animals here that we can touch, that we can bring out for the kids, and that includes ball pythons and Dumerals boas.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Wall here of ball pythons now. And something else that I'm working on right now is putting a New Mexico license plate, vintage, into each enclosure that houses a New Mexico species of rattlesnake. A little hard to see her through the camera, but there's the prairie. Whoops. I lost. There we go. Who can name that rattlesnake?
Arizona black.
Right. Arizona black rattlesnake, Cerberus. Pretty snake. A lot of people like that. The midget faded rattlesnake. South American rattlesnake, I like to call the Brazilian rattlesnake. Most snaky people call it Terrificus. It's known for having the strongest of the rattlesnake venoms.
What, the neotropical?
This is one of the Dorissus group. It was divided up into two entities years ago, Dorissus and Simus. I think there were 16 originally, but for those that want to know which rattlesnake might have the most dangerous venom, it would probably be this one. In our country, it would probably be the Mojave or the tiger rattlesnake.
Hey, Bob, you just reminded me. I need to renew my sponsorship of that exhibit. Do you have a Venmo or a Cash App that we can use?
I don't. We can talk about that later.
All right.
We can run a credit card.
Maybe I can swing by sometime.
Okay, that'd be great. And this old gal is still here. She is 29 or 30 years old now. 29, I believe. She is northwestern neotropical, but she's xanthic, overabundance of yellow pigment. She's not what some people would call albino or amelanistic. And she hangs in there amazingly. And shot from this corner. Let's see here. Those of you that didn't notice this in the past, this was in a different room. These are samples of plants with reptile names. So we've got black adder, I think it's pronounced hyssop. Somebody may know better. Snake gourd, rattlesnake grass. I can give you a good look at that, and you can sure tell why it's called that.
Huh.
Rattlesnake beans. I didn't believe that until I saw it on the rattlesnake chilies. And that hunk of wood there is snake wood.
Huh.
It's either one of the rarest woods in the world or the rarest. That little piece of wood, maybe 4 inches tall and 6 or 7 inches across, was $160.
Well,
I couldn't afford the 2x4. Alligator juniper.
Mm-hmm.
That's a picture of the bark. And so on.
Awesome.
Move some other snakes from home over here. Another eastern diamondback. This one came to me as a youngster a few years ago, and it's well over 5 feet now, approaching the length of that big eastern in the first enclosure. This little guy I've had for 25 years. It's a hybrid eastern diamondback timber rattlesnake. Real pretty snake, real feisty. It's one of those half dozen snakes I've had in my lifetime that really, really wanted to kill me. And now he's an old man. He's still pretty feisty, but he's manageable. The only scorpion on exhibit is a desert hairy. She has dug her way down into a burrow. She's a digger. We'll take care of that. I missed quite a few others passed by. Let's go back a little bit. This is another one I had at home. This is a Lutosis Great Basin rattlesnake.
Pretty.
Yeah. Mexican West Coast or green rattlesnake.
Do I need to give it? I'm happy to give it back to her. Does she need it tonight?
Basiliscus.
Basiliscus. And this is a very young snake. This snake could attain a length of over 7 feet. See what happens.
Right, they may be the biggest of all rattlesnakes.
They may be.
Yeah, they're in the running for sure.
Right.
The
Nowadays,
Jackal Reserve in Sonora has a lot of big ones. So I hear.
you haven't seen one?
I've talked to people who have seen snakes they swear are at least 7 feet. There's nobody there to kill them, so they thrive.
I talked to people here in New Mexico that tell me about snakes over 10 feet, so we got you
Right.
beat.
15-footers in Florida, right, and 8.5-foot
Right.
sidewinders, but that's another story.
I didn't say we have you beat for the largest snakes. We got you beat for the biggest storytellers.
That's right. That's a
This
beautiful
is-
snake.
It really is. And very agile and very alert, and I have to be the same when I go into that enclosure. Here is a rescue snake. This is a blacktail from the Sandias. So the coloration, to my eye, is somewhere right down the middle between the Texas and the
Yeah,
Wow.
true.
coloration. And this one you may not have seen yet. It's a fairly newly named rattlesnake, the Surbat Mountain rattlesnake in northwestern Arizona, formerly considered to be an Arizona black. But really, really pretty coloration.
Yeah, I haven't seen this one. That's cool.
That one's eating us out of house and home. House and museum.
Wow, that's neat.
Passed by quite a few, but I think I'm going a little bit too long here. We've got the four king snakes of New Mexico, the Desert King, the Arizona Mountain King, the Gray Band, which is in here, but I don't know. There he is back there.
Mm.
And the New Mexico Milk. Here's one for those of you that have not seen it before and are into the unusual. This is a Mojave Scutellatus with a stripe pattern running halfway down its body and then normal pattern picking up after that.
Huh.
And found separately from that snake was this piece of artwork. And I suspect somebody along the line saw something like that and copied it onto their art. This piece of Aboriginal art was donated by a gal in Brisbane, just down the road from Steve Irwin's place. And she also sent a picture of the artist with the art.
Neat.
You've seen this, I'm sure. You can't forget if you've seen it.
It's so cheesy.
Isn't that great?
It
You think
really.
that's easy? We got it beat.
Well, that's new. I haven't seen that one.
No, that's new. It's on the back door. We don't have much room to hang things anymore, so we do what we have to do. He looks quite a bit like me.
Yeah. Wow.
I tell you, we talked to people coming out of the museum. They've spent some time back here, and we get onto all kinds of subjects. And one of the things I'll ask them is, how did you like the giraffe skeleton? And they say, a giraffe skeleton? And I say, yeah, it's back in the museum. And they say they didn't see it, so I'll back up until you can see it.
Mm.
It's just in here because I don't have room to store it elsewhere. And I tell the kids it's a sea serpent. But people miss that all the time. It's actually more visible on.
Where did you get that?
A friend of mine does reproduction bones, skulls, and various bones. This is one of his.
Oh, so it's a reproduction.
It is.
Mm.
But for
Hey,
those of
Bob,
you-
do you have an elephant bird egg on display?
Not anymore. You have it. No, Vince has it.
Vince has it. Yes, that's a conversation piece if there ever was one.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody thinks this is a dinosaur, so I put the little hippo sculpture there so I didn't get that question so often.
Well, where are we going to sit if we ever get to have a meeting there again?
That question runs through my mind just about every day.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I can figure that out to where these things are going to go. I'm sort of dismantling the reptile room at home and trying to get things down here. I don't know. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but bottom line is I need to find a bigger building for the museum either way. And once I find that, the question of where the meetings will take place will be an easy one to answer.
Oh,
Oh.
Take a stroll around here one last time. Anybody else have any questions?
When are you going to get a ridge nose, Bob?
Well, believe it or not, I've had one and didn't put it on exhibit. A Silas. I've got an Obscurus and a bottle of alcohol, and I can bring it out for you. It's a part of a study done in the early 70s and was collected legally by a gentleman that keeps in touch with us. He's up in Colorado now, and it's around here somewhere. I think it's in the building.
Okay, well, a nice Arizona ridge nose would be very nice.
Well, Pat, let me give you an assignment.
Okay, there you go. I've never seen one in the wild, so it's the holy grail of herps for me.
Yeah, it's pretty special.
Yeah, they're neat.
I have seen them in the wild and can't get enough of that.
Mm-hmm. How about the one that was found on the road in Jalisco and they couldn't find another one for 50 years? What is that?
That is
It's a long-tail rattlesnake.
Lemoni.
right. And we've all seen that picture, the same picture so often of somebody holding a preserved specimen in their hand. And now they've found additional specimens in a totally different location.
Right, they're in Michoacan, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
and not Jalisco. So they were all looking in Jalisco and they never found any.
Looking in the wrong place.
That's right. But so I understand that the population is in Michoacan. So hopefully it stays intact and safe.
Okay. Any beekeepers out there? No.
No.
This is a special book for the serious beekeepers. The Bible, like Lawrence Klauber's Rattlesnake, 2 volumes, is for rattlesnakes.
How old is that book?
Oh boy, I don't know.
I'm
And I
gonna
can't-
guess.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, it might have the date inside there, but I'm gonna guess.
I can get in here easily. A lot of the cases are unlocked right now. We don't have to worry about thievery. Let's see.
No, 1948. Okay.
Here you go.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's cool.
A
You never
nice-
know what you're gonna find in the Rattlesnake Museum.
Right. Well, the reason the bee exhibit is here, and this is only a portion of that, is that we talk about things like bee stings versus snake bites, bee venom, answers to questions that come up. Do bees die when they use their stinger? So, Jerry Tuttle's not online right now, is he?
I don't believe so. Let's see.
This is a piece of sheet music. And I believe we've got about 15 different bee, wasp, yellow jacket related sheet music items.
That, that is really neat.
I love the artwork on the old sheet music pieces. Anything else?
Do you still have those turtles walking around in there?
No, they're at home with us. A friend is taking care of the sulcatas. We've got the other ones at home. This is a hybrid.
It looks beautiful. The whole thing looks wonderful. The paint and everything looks like I want to go see it.
Yeah, I
Well,
think it looks really nice also.
I'd like to get a lot of people down here to see all of this. I'd like to see people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to send you my check for the Gila monster.
Oh, thank you so much. That it helps right now. We've got 0 income and still have the
Yeah.
bill.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to show you Lorraine's front door as the last part of the tour. Oh, well, no, not the last part. Real quick, you remember this wall? It's been totally redone. The wall used to be white. The big board holding the license plates was orange. That all came down. Lorraine painted the wall dark gray. I pulled out new license plates. A lot of these you have not seen before. And we went one more layer down to the floor.
Do you have every state represented there, Bob?
No, not quite. Not quite. But I organized them by groups: lizards,
Okay.
crocodilians. Gotta get out of there.
And did you get safety bars put in the bathroom?
We're working on that.
Hiss. The New Mexico one is hiss.
This lineup is for slithers. We have room for one more.
Okay.
Here we've got turtles, or whatever that Tortuga thing is, Pat.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Tortuga is a generic turtle. Galapagos is a giant tortoise. That's why they're the Galapagos Islands.
That's right.
And then Tortuga de Tierra would be like a box turtle, a land turtle.
Cobras.
There we go.
Frogs.
Frog legs.
Or frog.
Give a whole board to, let me turn another light on here. whole board to Rattlers, whole board to New Mexico, leaving one space open.
Badass.
That has a story too, but I'll have to tell you later.
Okay.
Snakes. And then one other group of college plates with mascot items. I love this one. I was in Florida one time visiting, and I saw somebody with this Florida A&M Rattler license plate on the freeway, and I started following him, and he got off the freeway, and I got off, and he went through town very quickly. I followed him every inch of the way. Thought he was in big trouble, and got back in the freeway, and I gave up. But, yeah, something similar happened in Arizona. I used to have this plate on my Jeep. I actually still do.
I remember, yeah.
I was in Arizona and went past a guy with the Arizona version of this plate, exactly the same with the apostrophe R, Rattler. And I turned around real quick and started following him. And he finally pulled over into a parking lot. He thought he was in trouble. And we chatted shortly. He had it because he had an old truck and it made a rattling sound.
Oh.
Was that Michigan plate a vanity plate, or was it an option they could get?
This?
Yeah. That's my alma mater.
It's what?
I went to Michigan State.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I guess a lot of the universities have their own plates now. In New Mexico, I think they all do. By the way, New Mexico has over 120 different license plates now.
That's for sure.
But every Michigan State University plate has that big S on the left.
Right.
But this individual thought he'd make a word out of it.
That's good.
Ah, okay.
And I get a lot of questions about this, and I leave it up because a lot of questions come up. What the heck is a C-Atrox?
I've seen that one on the street.
Cool.
The collection of plates is probably 3 times this size. It's gotten out of control too. And then this wall was dismantled. Lorraine painted the wall. The deep gray used to be white. And we put new artwork, 2 new posters, a Walt Disney poster. Some of you my age or older will remember Prowlers of the Everglades.
I remember that.
Yeah, one of his true life adventures. He did 14 different films and eventually led to the creation of the Jungle Cruise ride at Disneyland.
Oh.
I remember that well.
It's still my favorite ride. Boris
Of
Karloff
course.
did this movie.
The Snake People with Boris Karloff. That's a real stinker. Hey, how about Cult? Hey, Bob, do you have Cult of the Cobra? Do you know that movie?
Yes, we sure do.
Okay, that's one of my favorites.
The list has been expanded upon. You remember this list, but now it's quite a bit longer. I went and framed it, but how close can I get? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Not quite. Not quite.
It's a long, long list of movies with reptile themes.
Frogs is in there, I'm sure. I actually I paid to go see that movie. I don't know if I'd be proud of that fact, but I did. Remember, frogs lay 100,000 eggs a year. What if they all hatched?
I worked on a movie called Rattlesnake earlier. It came out this year, so you're gonna have to add that to it.
Oh boy, this year?
They came out this year on Netflix. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. There are a lot of those movies that I need to catch up on.
And also, if anybody has Disney Plus, Prowlers of the Everglades is on there right now. So,
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I actually have it either on DVD or on VHS. I can't recall, but I haven't watched it. Love to see it on TV.
Yeah.
Prowlers of the Everglades. Good. Can you name one other movie in that True Life Adventure series? I like
not me.
the first one was about seals.
Hmm.
But
Isn't there one about bears?
there was one about bears. Yeah. Yeah. That's your homework. Look up that list of
Mhm.
True Life Adventures. Okay. So let me do this before I lose everybody again. And thanks for coming all the way from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. Like, this was great. This is a wonderful museum. I hope to one day get down to New Mexico to see it.
Oh, I hope you make it. Say hi to Clyde Peeling.
All right. Well, yeah, I'll make it a point of going to that. I mean, that's like 40 minutes away from where I live currently, so that wouldn't be hard at all.
No, that would be easy. Let's see here.
Hey, Bob,
Yes.
thank you so much for the presentation and all the description. And I hope to see you as soon as possible, okay?
Oh, I hope to see you too. I hope to hear you sing another song.
I do my live on Facebook, but pretty soon I'll be back.
Ah, good. This is the front door now. It used to be a blah wood color with a gray wash to it, and now it's turquoise.
Oh,
Very
oh yeah,
It's great.
it looks better. It looks great.
Looks
It
New
looks
Mexico.
good. Same skull, cleaned up. Same sign, cleaned. Boy, things were dirty. And a contour belt across the top.
Love the turquoise.
Well, good. Tell Lorraine you like it next time you see her.
Yeah, all the painting looks, all the different colors and the walls look really nice. I like how that turned out.
Well, good. Thanks. She worked awful hard on the paint. Here's the other door. I haven't gotten other signage up here, but the whole door is turquoise and black. I mean, she got out a little tiny paintbrush to get the details here.
Very pretty.
Paid off, she.
I think it's very nouveau, New Mexican, that turquoise and black.
Yeah. You know, we talked about what color to do the doors. We talked about all kinds of colors. We walked around Old Town. There's a lot of turquoise doors, but they're all kind of a bluish turquoise. So we went with a greenish turquoise just to be different. You can't see so much of the green in this picture, but it's greeny. I really can't see it on my phone like I can see it with my eyeballs.
Well, the museum looks fabulous.
Well, thank you.
It really does.
Keith, you look very relaxed.
Well,
I am, thank you.
Lorraine really has that touch. She really did a good job.
She sure knows how to pick guys, doesn't she?
Well,
Going-
hopefully we get out of this mess, Bob, and you can come and visit us.
Yeah.
We
Well,
really have you down here.
I wish you'd work up a vaccine and beat out the rest of these slow companies. I tell everybody I'm working on a COVID vaccine with rattlesnake venom.
Well, doesn't snake oil work?
Give it a
Snake-
try.
I didn't know you were a snake oil salesman there.
So
There's
there we
Josh.
go. Lori, is that a real basket behind you? A rattlesnake basket? Oh, I'm not hearing you.
She's muted.
You're muted, Lori. There we go. Okay. Max, that's Sarah Andy and Max and Bob. Yeah. And then I think, let me turn here. You see if you can see the ones on the other side.
Oh, pretty beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's pretty valuable. And then that one is huge.
Wow, that looks great,
This-
Lori.
Yeah, this one's Old Mission. And
Uh-huh.
this one. And there's more in one of the other rooms.
That's beautiful.
Thank you, Pat. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I live in Mexico. I'm enjoying it, but
I know you are.
I miss you guys. I miss you guys a lot. Anyway,
A little funny quick story. Pat and I ran into each other at a cafe in a jungle in Belize last summer, and I went, "Oh my God, what are you doing here?"
right?
That was
well,
fun.
the same conference. Weren't you at the conference? You were there. Yeah. Wasn't that great?
It was wonderful.
A little
Wonderful.
humid, but it was great.
It was wonderful. It was so good to catch up with you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we come out of this abyss, and we'll see you guys in the spring.
Yeah.
You know, and then we can all herp together.